Welcome back to Summary Central. This is where we take books that promise to change your life, remove the motivational noise, keep the ideas that actually work, add a little humor so it does not feel like a lecture, and turn them into something you can realistically apply without pretending you are a completely different person. Today's book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is one of those books almost everyone owns, many people quote, and far fewer actually live by. Not because the ideas are complicated, but because they are deceptively small. Atomic Habits is built on a truth most people resist. Your life does not change when you feel motivated. It changes when your daily behaviors change. And most people never redesign those behaviors. The word atomic matters. Atomic habits are tiny. They feel insignificant in the moment. They are easy to dismiss. But atomic also means powerful. Atoms build everything. When small actions compound over time, the results look dramatic even though the inputs never were. This book is not about waking up early, grinding harder, or becoming some optimized productivity robot. It is about building systems that quietly shape your behavior, whether you are motivated or not. If you want more long-form summaries like this, subscribe. These videos are designed to stack. Each one reinforces the last, and over time, they build a mental operating system that actually sticks. Part 1. Why goals feel useful, but systems decide everything. Most people believe change starts with better goals. Lose weight, write a book, build wealth, get disciplined. Goals feel productive. They give direction. They give hope. They give you something to point at when life feels messy. And that is exactly why they are dangerous. James Clear makes a counterintuitive point early in Atomic Habits. Winners and losers often share the same goals. Every athlete wants to win. Every writer wants to publish. Every entrepreneur wants success. The goal does not determine the outcome. The system does. A goal is something you want to achieve once. A system is what you do every day that makes achieving it likely. When you focus only on goals, you fall into a familiar loop. You get excited. You push hard. You rely on motivation. Then motivation fades, life intervenes, and you slide back to baseline. The goal stays the same. The behavior does not. That cycle is why people feel like they are always starting over. Systems remove emotion from progress. You do not need to feel inspired to follow a system. You just need to show up and run it. If your current system produces distraction, inconsistency, and burnout, that is not a personal failure. It is simply the output of the system you are running. Fix the system, and the results follow. Part 2. The Plateau of Latent Potential. Why progress feels invisible. One of the most important ideas in Atomic Habits is also one of the most frustrating. Progress is delayed. Most people expect change to be linear. They expect effort to show results quickly. Real growth does not work that way. James Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. Imagine an ice cube sitting on a table. The temperature in the room slowly rises from 25 degrees to 31 degrees. Nothing happens. Then it hits 32 degrees and the ice begins to melt. The work mattered the entire time. You just could not see it yet. This is where most people quit. They assume the habit is not working. In reality, it is working perfectly. The results are simply stored. Habits compound like interest. And just like money, the early stages feel pointless until suddenly they are not. If you have ever quit something right before it would have paid off, this is why. Part 3. Identity is the real thing your habits are shaping. Here is the shift that makes habits stick. Most people try to change outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book. I want to be successful. Atomic Habits flips the question. Who do you want to become? Every habit you perform is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. Reading one page is a vote for being a reader. Writing one paragraph is a vote for being a writer. Showing up to the gym is a vote for being someone who trains. You do not need perfection. You need enough votes to change your identity. This is why tiny habits work when massive overhauls fail. They are easy to repeat, and repetition is what shapes identity. Quick engagement check. If this idea hits uncomfortably close to home, tap like. It tells the algorithm this content is actually useful. Part 4. The habit loop that runs your life. Every habit follows the same 4-step loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. You do not crave the habit itself. You crave what it gives you. You do not crave scrolling. You crave distraction or relief. You do not crave exercise. You crave energy or confidence. Understanding this gives you leverage. Habits are not mysterious. They are predictable, and predictable systems can be redesigned. Part 5. The 4 laws of behavior change. The operating system behind habits. Once you understand that habits follow a predictable loop, James Clear introduces the core framework of the book. This is where Atomic Habits stops being philosophical and becomes mechanical. If habits are predictable, then changing them should also be predictable. Clear boils habit formation down to 4 laws of behavior change. Every good habit follows them. Every bad habit violates them. The laws are simple, but do not confuse simple with easy. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. Miss even one of these, and the habit struggles to survive. Law 1. Make it obvious. Most people think habits fail because of laziness. That is wrong. Habits usually fail because you forget. Your environment is constantly cueing behavior, whether you notice it or not. Your phone lights up. Your notifications buzz. Your couch waits patiently. Meanwhile, good habits are hidden. Your book is on a shelf. Your gym shoes are in a closet. Your journal is somewhere you cannot see. James Clear calls this environmental design. Instead of trying to change yourself, change what surrounds you. If you want to read more, put the book on your pillow. If you want to practice guitar, leave it in the middle of the room. If you want to eat healthier, put fruit on the counter and hide the junk food. Visibility beats willpower. People who look disciplined are usually just living in environments that make good behavior easier and bad behavior harder. Another powerful tactic here is habit stacking. You attach a new habit to an existing one. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read 1 page. After I brush my teeth, I will write 1 sentence. After I sit down at my desk, I will open my notes. Your brain already knows how to run the first habit. The second one just rides along. This is how intention becomes automatic. Law 2. Make it attractive. Humans are emotional creatures pretending to be rational. If a habit feels boring, painful, or miserable, you will not stick to it long term. No amount of logic can override that forever. The brain repeats what feels rewarding. James Clear introduces temptation bundling. You pair something you want to do with something you should do. Only watch your favorite show while exercising. Only listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning. Only enjoy your best coffee when writing. This works because your brain starts associating the habit with pleasure instead of resistance. Your social environment matters here too. We imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, the many, the powerful. If the people around you value focus, learning, and growth, those behaviors feel normal. If distraction and busyness are normalized, shallow habits spread just as fast. You do not need better motivation. You need better default influences. Law 3. Make it easy. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They aim too big. They demand intensity. They wait for the perfect day. James Clear makes this painfully clear. The most important habit is showing up. not going hard, not pushing limits, showing up. This is why friction matters. Increase friction for bad habits. Decrease friction for good ones. Log out of distracting apps. Delete shortcuts. Put junk food out of reach. At the same time, reduce friction for the habits you want. Sleep in workout clothes. Prepare your workspace the night before. Keep tools ready. This leads to one of the most famous ideas in the book, the 2-minute rule. Any habit can be scaled down to 2 minutes. Reading becomes 1 page. Writing becomes 1 sentence. Exercise becomes putting on shoes. This is not about results. It is about identity reinforcement. Once you show up, momentum often follows. But even if it does not, you still win. You cast the vote. Law 4. Make it satisfying. The brain learns fast when rewards are immediate. The problem is that good habits usually pay off later, while bad habits pay off now. Scrolling feels good now. Saving money feels boring now. Exercise hurts now. To fix this, you need immediate satisfaction. Track your habits. Check boxes. Mark streaks. Progress needs to be seen to be felt. James Clear also introduces a rule that saves more habits than motivation ever will. Never miss twice. Missing once is life. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. You do not need perfection. You need consistency. Part 6. How to break bad habits without relying on willpower. Breaking habits is not about becoming stronger. It is about becoming smarter. Every bad habit follows the same 4 laws. So to break one, you invert them. Make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. Make it invisible. If cues disappear, habits weaken. Leave your phone in another room. Do not buy the food you are trying to avoid. Block websites instead of trusting discipline. People with strong self-control are not resisting temptation. They are rarely exposed to it. Make it unattractive. Bad habits persist because they feel good. To break them, you need to reframe them. Instead of I cannot do this, say I do not do this. This shifts the habit from a temporary struggle to an identity boundary. Highlight the cost. What does this habit take from you over time? Energy, focus, confidence, time you never get back. Bad habits thrive when consequences are abstract. They weaken when the cost becomes vivid. Make it difficult. Increase friction. Delete apps. Add delays. Make the habit inconvenient. Your future self will always choose the path of least resistance. Design that path carefully. Make it unsatisfying. Immediate consequences matter. Habit contracts, accountability partners, public commitments. When bad habits create discomfort, they lose appeal. Part 7. Goals versus systems. Revisited. Why systems always outlast motivation. Goals are not useless. They just do not last. Goals create a finish line mindset. Systems create a lifestyle. Once you reach a goal, motivation often collapses. Systems do not stop working when you succeed. The real question is not, what do I want? It is, what process will I repeat even when I am bored? That process decides everything. If this section resonates, take a second to like the video. It helps this series reach people who need it. Part 8. Habits compound into completely different lives. One of the most dangerous misunderstandings about habits is believing that they only matter in the short term. They do not. Habits matter because they compound. Small habits do not change your life today. They change your direction. James Clear uses a simple but uncomfortable idea. If you get 1% better each day for a year, you end up dramatically better. If you get 1% worse each day, you slowly approach 0. This does not happen because of one massive decision. It happens because of tiny behaviors repeated. One skipped workout means nothing. Skipping workouts becomes a pattern. One focused work session feels small. Doing it daily creates leverage. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, and just like money, the early stages feel boring and pointless. That is why most people quit before compounding ever kicks in, why progress feels invisible for so long. This is where most people lose faith. They start a habit. They show up for a week or two. They see no visible change. They assume it is not working. James Clear calls this the valley of disappointment. Your effort is real. Your results are just delayed. This delay is not a bug. It is the price of compounding. People who succeed are not more motivated. They are more patient with boredom. They are willing to repeat small behaviors long after the novelty wears off. Part 9. Motion versus action. The productivity trap. This section hurts a little. Motion feels productive. Action produces results. Planning, researching, organizing, watching videos about habits. All of that feels like progress. None of it forces change. Motion keeps you busy. Action moves the needle. James Clear points out that many people live permanently in motion because it feels safe. Action involves risk. Action forces feedback. Action exposes flaws. If you want proof that habits are working, stop optimizing and start repeating. Do not reread the book. Apply one habit today. Part 10. How to stay consistent when life gets messy. Life does not care about your routines. You will get tired. You will get busy. You will lose motivation. That is normal. This is why habits must be flexible. James Clear recommends focusing on standards, not streaks. Perfection is fragile. Standards survive chaos. When things fall apart, ask a simple question. What is the smallest version of this habit I will still do? One sentence. One page. 1 minute. This keeps the identity alive even on bad days. And again, the rule that saves everything. Never miss twice. Missing once is human. Missing twice is how habits die. Part 11. The danger of success. Ironically, success can destroy habits faster than failure. Once something works, complacency creeps in. You stop tracking. You stop refining. You assume the system will run itself. It will not. Habits require maintenance. James Clear emphasizes reflection. Regular reviews. What is working? What is not? What needs adjusting? Without feedback, systems drift. And drift kills consistency quietly. Part 12. Play the long game. Habits and mastery. Mastery is not intensity. It is consistency stretched over time. Experts are not always motivated. They are reliable. They show up when bored. They show up when tired. They show up when results are invisible. When habits become part of your identity, quitting feels stranger than continuing. That is the real win. Part 13. Design habits for who you actually are. Most people choose habits based on fantasy, who they wish they were, not who they actually are. James Clear argues that the best habits align with your personality and energy. If you hate running, forcing yourself to run is not discipline. It is friction. If you like solitude, quiet habits stick better. If you thrive socially, group-based habits win. Habits should feel challenging, not miserable. The goal is not suffering. The goal is repetition. Consistency beats intensity every time. Part 14. The Goldilocks Rule. Why boredom kills habits. Habits fail at two extremes. Too easy and they feel meaningless. Too hard and they feel overwhelming. The sweet spot is right in the middle. Just challenging enough to require focus. Just achievable enough to avoid burnout. This is called the Goldilocks rule. Progress happens when you are slightly uncomfortable, but not defeated. Boredom is the real enemy, not difficulty. Professionals show up even when bored. Amateurs wait until inspired. That difference compounds. Part 15, the final takeaway. The system behind every successful life. Atomic habits can be summarized in one sentence. You do not change your life all at once. You change it one repeatable action at a time. If you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated with yourself, this is not a personal flaw. It is a systems problem. Fix the system. The results follow. Part 16. Applying atomic habits to real life, where most people actually fail. Up to this point, atomic habits can feel deceptively clean. The ideas make sense. The logic checks out. The framework feels usable. And yet, this is exactly where most people stop. They understand the principles, but never translate them into daily behavior. Not because they are lazy, but because real life is messy. Stress shows up. Travel disrupts routines. Work gets chaotic. Motivation disappears. This section is where atomic habits becomes useful instead of inspirational. Applying habits to work and focus. Most people say they want to be more productive. What they usually mean is that they want to feel less overwhelmed. Atomic Habits reframes productivity away from time management and toward behavior design. The problem at work is rarely that people lack time. It is that their environment constantly cues shallow behavior. Email tabs stay open. Notifications interrupt thinking. Meetings fragment attention. If you want deep, focused work, you do not start by trying harder. You start by removing cues. Close email by default. Silence notifications during focus blocks. Create a physical or digital space that is only used for focused work. The habit here is not work harder. The habit is start work the same way every time. Same location, same setup, same opening action. When your brain recognizes the pattern, resistance drops. This is how professionals produce consistently while others rely on bursts of urgency and panic. Applying habits to health and fitness. Health habits fail for predictable reasons. People aim too big. They rely on motivation. They punish inconsistency. Atomic Habits offers a calmer approach. The goal is not intense workouts. The goal is showing up long enough for identity to shift. Instead of I need to get fit, the habit becomes I am someone who does not skip movement. This might mean a walk instead of a workout, stretching instead of training, 10 minutes instead of an hour. Once the habit is established, intensity can increase naturally. But without consistency, intensity is useless. Another overlooked idea is environment design. If junk food is visible, it will be eaten. If workout gear is hidden, workouts will be skipped. The environment always wins eventually. Applying habits to learning and skill building. Learning fails because people treat it as an event instead of a habit. They wait for long blocks of time. They binge information. They confuse consumption with mastery. Atomic Habits emphasizes repetition over volume. 1 page a day compounds. 1 problem solved daily compounds. 1 practice session repeated compounds. The identity shift here matters. You are not trying to learn. You are someone who practices. That distinction removes pressure and increases consistency. Applying habits to relationships and behavior change. Habits are not just personal. They are social. How you speak, how you react, how you listen. Most relationship problems are not caused by big betrayals. They are caused by repeated small behaviors. Interrupting, not following through, avoiding uncomfortable conversations. Atomic Habits applies here by focusing on default responses. If you want better relationships, design better defaults. Pause before responding. Ask one genuine question. Express appreciation deliberately. Small behaviors repeated consistently change how people experience you. Why habits collapse under stress. Stress is where habits go to die. Travel, deadlines, emotional strain. This is where motivation-based systems fail completely. Atomic Habits prepares for this by emphasizing minimum viable habits. On bad days, the goal is not progress. The goal is not breaking the chain. 1 sentence, 1 push-up, 1 minute. This keeps identity intact even when life is chaotic. Part 17. Environment beats discipline every time. One of the most misunderstood ideas in Atomic Habits is self-control. People assume disciplined individuals resist temptation constantly. In reality, they design environments where temptation rarely appears. Self-control is not a personality trait, it is a byproduct of environment. If your phone is within reach, you will check it. If snacks are visible, you will eat them. If distractions are 1 click away, focus will break. This is not weakness. This is human behavior. The solution is not trying harder. It is removing frictionless access to bad habits. Put friction between you and distraction. Remove friction between you and good habits. Environment design works even when motivation is gone. That is why it matters. How to redesign your environment intentionally. This does not require dramatic changes. It requires small strategic adjustments. Change default app placement. Use different rooms for different activities. Create visual cues for desired behaviors. The environment silently shapes behavior all day long. Once you see this, ignoring it becomes impossible. Why discipline is unreliable long term. Discipline works in short bursts. Systems work forever. If your habits rely on discipline, they will fail when energy dips. If they rely on environment and identity, they persist. Atomic Habits is not about becoming stronger. It is about becoming smarter. Part 18. Habit tracking, feedback loops, and why measurement matters. Once habits are established, the next challenge is keeping them alive. This is where most people quietly drift back to old behavior. Not because they stop believing in habits, but because they stop paying attention. James Clear emphasizes that what gets measured gets repeated. Tracking creates awareness. Awareness creates accountability. Accountability creates consistency. The act of tracking itself is often more powerful than the data it produces. Checking a box, marking a calendar, recording completion. These small signals tell your brain that the behavior matters. However, tracking has limits. If tracking becomes the goal, the habit collapses. If you obsess over streaks, missing once feels catastrophic. If measurement replaces meaning, motivation decays. The purpose of tracking is not perfection. It is direction. You are not asking, did I do this flawlessly? You are asking, am I trending in the right direction? That shift protects habits from fragility. When habit tracking backfires, tracking fails when it becomes punitive. Miss 1 day and feel guilty. Miss 2 days and quit. Miss a week and abandon the habit entirely. Atomic Habits warns against tying identity too tightly to streaks. Streaks are helpful. They are not sacred. A habit is not broken because a streak ends. It is broken when you stop returning. This is why the rule never miss twice is so important. The first miss is an event. The second miss is a pattern. Your job is not to avoid failure. It is to recover quickly. Part 19. Boredom is the real enemy of consistency. Most people think habits fail because they are hard. They fail because they are boring. Once the novelty fades, motivation drops. Once progress slows, enthusiasm disappears. Once habits feel routine, people start looking for something new. James Clear makes a sharp observation. Professionals stick with the plan when it stops being exciting. Amateurs wait until they feel inspired again. Mastery requires showing up when the reward is no longer obvious. This is the difference between people who plateau and people who progress. Boredom is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that the habit is working. How to design habits that survive boredom. The solution is not constant novelty, it is adjustment within structure. Keep the habit stable. Vary the intensity, environment, or approach. Same workout, different location. Same writing habit, different prompts. Same study routine, different topics. This keeps engagement high without breaking consistency. Part 20. Plateaus, regressions, and the long-term view. Progress does not move in straight lines. There will be plateaus. There will be regressions. There will be periods where nothing seems to improve. Atomic Habits prepares for this by reframing success. Success is not visible progress. Success is continued participation. If you are still showing up, you are still winning. This mindset prevents people from abandoning habits during slow periods. Why falling off is inevitable and not fatal. Every long-term habit includes interruptions, illness, travel, life changes. What matters is not avoiding disruption, but designing for recovery. Minimum habits, flexible standards, identity-first thinking. You are not starting over. You are resuming. That distinction keeps habits alive psychologically. Part 21. Long-term identity lock-in. Eventually, habits stop feeling like effort. They become part of who you are. You do not debate brushing your teeth. You do not negotiate wearing a seatbelt. You do not question certain behaviors. That is the end goal of Atomic Habits. Not motivation. Not discipline. Identity alignment. When habits align with identity, consistency becomes automatic. Why this takes time and cannot be rushed. Identity does not shift overnight. It shifts through repetition. Each habit is a small vote. Each repetition reinforces the story. This is why Atomic Habits favors patience over intensity. You are not building habits for this month. You are building them for the person you want to be long-term. Part 22. Putting it all together. The complete system. Atomic Habits works because it integrates 4 layers. Behavior design, environment design, identity reinforcement, long-term maintenance. Remove any one layer and the system weakens. Together, they create change that survives bad days, boredom, and life disruptions. Final takeaway. Atomic Habits is not about becoming extreme. It is about becoming consistent. You do not change your life in a moment of inspiration. You change it through systems that run quietly in the background. Design your environment. Lower friction. Reinforce identity. Return quickly when you fall off. Small habits compound into completely different lives. If you take one thing from this summary, let it be this. Do not aim for dramatic change. Aim for systems that survive ordinary days. If this helped, subscribe to Summary Central. The 15-minute and 5-minute versions of Atomic Habits are coming next, designed for reinforcement and quick rewatching. And before you go, comment one small habit you are committing to today. Small enough that you cannot talk yourself out of it.